PAT Preliminary English Test. Have a look at this slide. On this slide you have basic information about PAT, which is taken at level B1. According to our system, we take level B1 test when students finish Touchstone 4, and this semester it is happening in December. However, if students finish the level in May, they are taking the exam in May. Have a look at this slide, the level of PAT. This slide gives you the basic information about the level at which students take the exam. PAT language specifications. This slide gives you some information regarding vocabulary, grammar and pronunciation that students have to demonstrate when taking the exam. On this slide you have topics. Have a look at the topics. These topics are quite similar to the ones that we have studied in Touchstone Module 4 and Touchstone Module 3. So there should be no surprise for students to see similar subjects to talk about or to read about during the exam. The format of the exam. The exam has 3 parts. There is reading and writing part, listening part and speaking part. Before they take their mock exam, students should go through a trial session where you introduce them to the reading and writing part, where they practice their skills at listening and where you give them feedback on their speaking. This slide is about the reading section of the exam. Please read it carefully. This is the slide about writing. Be careful when assessing students in their writing part. There is part 1, part 2, part 3. All these parts are worth different points. Make sure that you read the bands before you actually assess your students. Part 2, Mark Scheme. Total 5 points. Read the slide carefully and make sure you understand how students can gain marks. Writing Part 2. On this slide you have a sample task. Read the sample task. You're going to have a similar one on one of the cards that you choose for your students to take. Sample answer 1, 46 words. Read the slide carefully. On this slide you have a sample answer. There is no surprise that there are some mistakes made by a student. Be ready to understand where the mistakes are and how many points a student may still gain although he has made these mistakes. Sample answer 1. On this slide you have comments from Wayne Rimmer. Read the comments and see whether your judgment was any similar to the one of Wayne Rimmer. There is another sample answer, 108 8 words. As you can see, this sample answer is a bit longer than sample answer 1. Try to grade this sample answer before you move on to the next slide. Please compare your mark to the one given by Wayne Rimmer. Part 3, Mark Scheme. Total number of points 20. In this part, there is a choice. A student may choose to write an informal letter or a story. Read through the suggestions how to gain top marks. Writing Part 3, Sample Task. Read the task. Think. Will your students be able to give a right answer to the task? Please read the sample answer. Once you have finished reading the sample answer, you can go on to the next slide and see what mark it scored. Writing Part 3. Read the comments given by Wayne Rimmer. Think. Will you be able to grade your students in the same manner? Listening section. In the listening section, there are 4 parts. Altogether, students will do 25 tasks. Read the comments about the listening. Now you have moved to the speaking section. In the speaking part, there will be 2 candidates taking the speaking test and 2 examiners assessing candidates. Let's look into their roles. One examiner is going to be an interlocutor. He is going to manage the interaction, ask questions, and set the tasks. Another teacher is going to be an assessor. She or he will sit aside and take notes on the conversations that are happening at the exam table. The role is to give detailed assessment and to watch over the performance of both the candidates and the teacher. As candidates change, teachers may change their roles. A teacher who was an interlocutor can now be an assessor. A teacher who was an assessor can now be an interlocutor. We continue talking about speaking. A pair of candidates has 10 to 12 minutes to be able to express themselves in everyday situations. Look through the slide and make sure you understand what is happening in this part. Let's talk about speaking parts in detail. Speaking part 1, interview. This part takes about 2 to 3 minutes. Read the instructions. Now you can see sample questions for part 1. Look through the questions. You do not have to answer all of them, however, they give you an idea what sort of questions you may ask. You will have a list of questions at your disposal at the exam. Speaking part 2, collaborative task. It means candidates are going to talk to each other. This part lasts around 2 to 3 minutes. Please read the instructions. On this slide, you can see a sample picture for part 2. An interlocutor is going to give this picture to the candidates. Look at the instructions written to the left of the picture. The interlocutor is going to read the instructions to the candidates. Should candidates have any questions about the instructions, the interlocutor must make sure that they understand the instructions and are ready to follow the task. Speaking part 3, individual long run. This part takes 3 minutes. Read the instructions carefully for the speaking part 3. On this slide, you can see the pictures you're going to give to the candidate when he does speaking part 3. The final speaking part 4, discussion. This part lasts 3 minutes. Read the instructions, make sure you understand what you have to do. The video is provided to facilitate your understanding of the speaking part. Please watch the video first and then go back to this slide to read the comments given by the assessor. On this slide, you have a full commentary given by the assessor on the speaking part. It is very important that you watch the video before you go through the comments given by the assessor. This slide is about how to score PET. You have the reading, the listening and the speaking section. Make sure that you go through the rating system first so that you know how to place your student in the system. The links on this slide will help you get more information about exam practice, grammar and vocabulary practice, and some general information about Cambridge exams. Information on the PET exam is available in paper version in the teacher's room.